because even few people come. I have meaningful discussion with people, and that's why I kind of enjoy them. Uh, Hopefully, uh, these talks are recorded and replays are seen by other people, and I talk to them, especially from India and other places. People see me there. Hopefully, uh, what I'm going to say today is kind of significant for me. Hopefully, people know this and they enjoy that. This is about wellness optimization. I have been uh, I've been thinking about this for a while, and kind of this is what I want to do: a weekly Saturday morning room that's going to be focused on mostly uh, not only wellness in the true sense of the holistic sense, but also self realization. What we can do to help people have a decor where they can really uh, exploit the ambience that we provide, which is a friendly spiritual light and uh, kind of guided meditations, kind of giving the peaceful movement, some classical music, and read some books. That kind of activities where we're going to call that a satsang. Sat means good people. Sang means association. We are all going to be associated for the explore exploration of the path into the truth rather than we acting like authorities on truth, so that kind of atmosphere I want to provide with my friends and share my impressions and experiences in a spirit of camaraderie and fellowship and love. Okay, that's the idea, and we have come quite a bit on organization and when we should do it. So it's going to be Saturday morning. It's going to be done in one of my houses, the clubhouse, but on the Wisdom and other channels simultaneously will be broadcast. But then, if people are really interested, I can also do a Zoom call or a LinkedIn live call. The format may change, but it will going to be weekly affair. Uh, Basically, we will invite people to come in, and Joyce is here. Okay. So that kind of thing probably will be enjoyed by people as they come in. So, hi Joyce, can you hear me?
Hi,
Yeah,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, I just uh, I just made a major announcement, which I'm going to repeat several times probably as the people come in. What it is I was planning um, a room where people can come and explore into what is truly holistic wellness and also what is self-realization. That means we're not going to preach them anything, but we're going to go provide them ambience where I could share mine and they could share their experience. And also, we will do some interactions, we will do some guided meditation, things like that. That will be. See, this is a great tradition that used to be there in ancient times. What they did was just gathered in a friend house or somewhere where it's a question of pursuing the truth rather than asserting anything like an argument, right? So they were all loving each other and gathering together to explore things, to discuss things, to explore into their own minds. So the ambience will be more like atmosphere of exploration into yourself rather than any particular thing. So, as I reveal more and more of it, probably it will make sense from some people, especially the people who are serious thinkers, who are deep, inward oriented people. that kind of thing. It's not about personal accomplishment or personal prejudices. It's more like an atmosphere where you can explore into these kind of truthful things. So that's what I'm going to. That means we don't belong to anything, but we are free to explore into the truth and then listen to each other. That kind of thing. So I was planning on that all day today, and I kind of produced some structure about it, and I was going to do that. So starting probably next Saturday in the morning, 7 o'clock, I will dedicate that 1.5 hours for people to come and join me, and then we will just like this, friendly, but then topics would be like, what do you think self-realization means? That kind of thing. So, what do you feel, Joyce, about that? I think she's the only one who.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I can't talk for a few minutes, so I'll just listen.
Okay, very good. Very good. So I was just going to explore that with my friends. I wrote an article. I haven't published it on LinkedIn yet, but I'm going to put that in there, where the two goals are optimum wellness and also going inward and finding out what our true self, our true nature, that kind of thing. No religion, no particular predilection to a philosophy, or no argumentation or anything. Just what is it to go inward? How do you do? How do you watch your thoughts and emotions and all? In the process, I want to provide some music and some references of books I have and read from them or present to them. Different Rumi, Krishnamurti, so many people we have, right? So many things over the years. Maybe some of the very important people that I read that are pretty uh, impressive to me. And so we can present to them. So if they want to, we can go through all of that. So it's a kind of different talk, not like uh, sharing some superficial information, but about methods of finding about ourselves, really exploring ourselves, that kind of thing. As I develop this article and publish it, and as I develop the text of what I'm going to do, I think people will be much more happy to listen to that. Okay. Hello, Mitra. Hello, Shri. So this is a kind of activities that are we were doing back in Chicago when I was there. I loved Chicago. I lived there for 8 years. So my friend used to come every 2 weeks, and he used to take me to this suburb of Oak Park. And then we used to go to this particular library. My friend David used to take the library for no cost. He used to bring in a VCR and then TV, and they played some tapes, and then we saw different philosophers' talks, and then throughout the 1.5 hour we spent there, nobody talked about what they did and what their role in society or what they wanted transaction, none of it. It was purely exploration into deep philosophy. You just come in and see that uh, talk by a noted sage or a seer or a major philosopher, psychologist, whatever. Okay, and then we used to gather together for a coffee in a neighborhood cafe just there. We used to walk there, and we used to sit down and then share what our impressions of the tape were. And nobody dominated anybody. Nobody told them this is so. Just sharing what it was. And then I was very young at the time. I was only 29, maybe. But then my friend was above 60. But he took to me because even that time I was talking about philosophy in a sense, right? So I think it was 8 years when I first entered into this kind of thing. I was interested in deeper things. There used to be tidbits on the TV, or not on the TV, on the radio. We didn't have TV at the time. So they used to have these tidbits of small sayings that used to come, and that used to attract me. So that kind of thing. Mitra is here. If you want to come up, I'll invite him. So out of all that investigation and understanding, self-study, like a self-knowledge, right? Actually, this is billed as the biggest learning, like a science of sciences. If you know your internal inclining or your orientation, most of the time you will come back to your own inner self, and not the ego, not the personality, but beyond that, right? And so that was explored in the ancient times quite well. And I think I was fortunate to be able to explore into that. There was much more clarity in life, clarity about things, clarity about sorrow, clarity about what we would do when these things happen, that kind of thing, right? So I think if you do all the sciences, everything just to survive and just to have a good life, that's one thing. But then, if you want to understand life, I think we should really look into the deeper aspects of life. That's what I'm talking about in this. Even to be well, we want to be aware. We want to be not reactive. We want to be not really doing stuff because of our habit rather than out of real information and the truth. For example, we are raised on a lot of eating rice all the time, right? But parents and other people may not be paying attention because they were born in a different era, right? So whatever the family provided, thinking that's very good stuff, that was turned out to be not good for us because it's all processed food and it's all carbohydrate causes diabetes. So now we know about that. Are we going to be enlightened about it and then make good choices or not? That kind of thing. The same thing about inner matters. If you are enlightened, if you are aware, that is much better than just doing things by tradition or habits, right? So those kind of things were exposed when we really sit in the self exploration, self knowledge, or knowing yourself and all that, right? So we may not go into deeper subjects right away, but at least I will start with there's a structure without. Maybe we'll start with something of a nice music and that is relaxing, and then lead people into maybe sit down for a few minutes in quietness. You don't have to meditate, but at least just be quiet for a while. And then we will have an agenda about what is the thing that we want to explore that day and invite everybody's involvement. And this will be probably invitations for select people will be sent, and then if they come, then I will be able to do an effective room that way. It's not about popularity. It's not about getting a lot of people. It's about people who are interested in this kind of activity. And when they come, the ultimate thing is they should be moving from one place to wherever they want to go. This is self meaningful transformation within. That's what we were asked so many times in tidbits. But then, if you really do it in a way that's certainly very weak, people can anticipate what is coming up, what is that kind of thing. I may give some interactive sessions that people can do with each other or with me, and we may do some games or something like that that were practiced in some satsangs. So, but the basic idea of satsang is not about politics, not about religion, not about gossip, not about entertainment, but having a nice, pleasant evening or morning with people who really interested into deeper aspects of life. So that's the one I want to provide ambience of friendship and camaraderie and accepting everybody as us, oneness, interconnectedness, and all those qualities, right? So it doesn't have to be any country. It doesn't have to be a particular region and all that. So as it evolves, I will put it up there and see. As I talk to people, they'll be able to tell me what they want to do or not, or what are the things that they will be comfortable. Those can also will be evolved. But basically, it's not going to be anything, uh, you know, uh, force by force. It's more like a gentle, friendly association. But then that's in pursuit of truth. That's the thing. The satsang is they were debating, in the sense they were all pursuing truth on any matter, and in the truth and matter they were gentle with each other, helping each other and understanding each other in a spirit of we are all after all one, but we are going to explore this and then listen to other people with empathy, that kind of thing. But they were not arguments where you get to assert yourself, only my point of view is right. That's not the, I think I will make sure that I don't bring in any ego, and also maybe gently point out the people that we don't want to argue here. We want to find out by our exploration what is truth. And maybe we could talk about a poet like Rumi, or maybe we can talk about Nelson Mandela, or maybe we can talk about John F. Kennedy, or our ancient liberators here, like so many people, right? Uh, actually, I was doing an article on that the other day, like a, uh, like 12 people, I think, that were really impressed by ancient wisdom. And that was very surprising to Americans to find that founding fathers were rooted in this ancient wisdom and they appreciated it very much. Even the latest movie on the nuclear physics, he came in and he was uh, quoting Bhagavad Gita at the time of Oppenheimer. He was quoting Bhagavad Gita when the major blast of the nuclear blast happened. So he kind of lived with all those truths, and he understood the deeper sense of this ancient wisdom texts and all that. But I'm the kind of, I look at all the world. I don't only focus on particular countries, even though I'm kind of know more about India, more about China, Japan, and all that. But then I do understand the American Indians here, native Indians in America. They have a tremendous sense of spirituality and tremendous sense of nature, right? We all know about that. So that kind of thing. So we are actually current now. We are in one world. We are all one human tribe, oneness, interconnected. And the sooner we realize the fact, then the easier for us to solve the global problems. Even though we may not be able to do global problems solutions here, but we can do what is bothering us, why we are having this anxiety versus joy that can happen. That's the thing. There's a blissful thing, there's a peaceful thing, there's very ananda, they call it. That's the blissful, right? Understanding leads to this. That is the essence of human life, human intelligence. So my today is my wife's birthday. I always talked about, do we know what's the significance of human birth? Why we are celebrating human birth? Because humans have this capacity to look inside, not in a introspective, negative way, but in a way that we can watch our own mind workings and then go beyond the limited nature of the body and the mind and discover that abundance within us. Once you discover it, it is so joyful, so blissful, so peaceful, then you don't have to be addicted to anything. You don't have to nurture enmity or any of the distance that you feel angry with all that, right? That is not there. So it's a question of discovering that kind of abundance I'm talking about. So people will listen what happened, how it happened with other people and with our individual lives, and then how do you respond to certain political developments and all those things. Okay, they will be very valuable if you allow them to soak in, if you allow them to be realized by you. So it's like this. You can throw the light on a path, but any person wants to reach the other side of the street, or go beyond the certain lights, and he wants to go marching on the street, he has to walk. The same thing with the spiritual expression. And but then people kind of develop all sorts of isms, and then they say I'm this, I'm that, and then they divide, and they're not able to be together when these kind of things happen. So I want to bring the best traditions that I saw, which is the satsang, gathering of the good people to explore into the truth of anything. Not authority as the truth, but truth as the authority. That's the thing I always talk about, and I want to make sure that I am following that. Okay, so this is a uh, sincere attempt to make people realize what they can be, how limitless they can be in their life. But there's a path which will take differently. That's also okay. But providing the atmosphere, having the discussion like that is something I like, and I want to bring that into my rooms at least once a week, not every day, but once a week in the morning, Saturday, 7 o'clock Central. That is like 8 o'clock Eastern, you know. And then some of the people from India will join too. Probably I may do Zoom with simultaneous casting of the YouTube and other things too. That way, if I want to show them something like exercise, or do a guided meditation, or just ask them to be quiet with me, those kind of things I do on the Zoom. I have all those things, so why can't I use them for the friends? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Uh, Hopefully that makes sense. And so if you have any comments on the Wisdom app, please come up and tell me about them. Tell me about what you feel about this. Yeah. So Joyce, can you talk now? I don't want to place her on the spot. If she's able to speak, she can. She will speak. So to begin with, the whole thing is planned like we will have an agenda. Usually I come spontaneous, I will have a topic, but I will talk about that. But this agenda will involve what are going to do, what are going to perform, all those things will be there. But apart from that, free question and answers and discussion among ourselves, that will be there too. And maybe they will have some request about, okay, we want to hear about this. I can also relate the songs that made a difference for me, and also the change that I went through in Chicago, especially for 8 years I was there. I was very connected with the lake shore life, and I used to go on the lake, take my bike and go up and down. And also, there are beaches there. Montrose was my favorite because it has a fishing ramp went deep into the lake. At the end of it, you feel like a lake is surrounding you. And I used to go and sit there, and then some of the people were there catching their fish, but they were all quiet. It was very quiet around, and the gulls and all those going around, and it was nice to be in the middle of the water like that. And then I used to study various kind of books at that time. And then later on, I realized what is the use and not use of the books. And later, Chicago 8 years was very instrumental for me to unfold the spirituality, and then really sometimes understanding what is thought, what is not thought, no mind, all those things blew my mind at the time. It was a time of big uh, uh, confusion, and coming out of that gave me great clarity. It was a very, very important time, I think, for me. And then later on, I went to New York. In the New York, we saw a tremendous energy, different all the time. People are there, and a very, very busy place. But the residency that I was doing in internal medicine was very busy program. We were in Brooklyn, and we were just a couple of blocks away from the seashore. So we used to go. Me and my wife used to walk there and enjoy the all the atmosphere there. And then we came here in the Midwest after the residency and established a practice. But main attraction was Chicago. It was so close by. And then I used to go to the satsang there, and I met those friends also. I think they were elderly even at the time when I was going there. But then I think they all passed away now. But the memories of the place were very good. It led me into something like a inner exploration and getting strength from that. So that's one thing. It is spirituality should bring strength to you, not depending upon some superstition or rituals, but then knowing your true nature, understanding how your reactions are, understanding lots of things, in a clear manner. That clarity that comes up really gave me a lot of strength. Things can be pretty bad outward, but I kind of don't allow myself to go back or go forward, but I will be in the present dealing with it. That itself is a big deal, I think. Living in the present, uh, not by choice, but not by making like a, I have to be here. No, you are in the present, always aware. So you're not thinking to be present, but you are in the present. That makes a difference. And then use the instrument of thought to resolve a thing. Hi, Joyce.
I was finishing up a test.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was testing doing research, testing my app on different things all the time. So anyway, I'll tell you a couple things that came to my mind when you were talking, and two things I'm wondering if you've heard about.
Yeah.
Actually, very recently, I heard about a World Congress of Religions that was going to
Oh,
happen.
yeah.
And then the other thing is Joseph Campbell and the
Yeah.
power of myth.
Yeah.
Are you aware of?
Oh, very much. Joseph Campbell was a student of Swami Satyananda. So I know Joseph Campbell's teachings came from there, and I have a lot of friends quoting him too. Yeah, because I always look into the anybody says anything, and Joseph Campbell said a lot of relevant things for me. I appreciate that very much. So World Congress of Religions that happened in 1893 one time. That's when actually Vivekananda came to this country, and he's the one who talked about all these things, and also he was instrumental in so many things at the time in going back to India and all that. So a lot of people know that Congress because that happened on 9/11 of that year, 1893, I think, 9/11. And their aim was to bring everybody together so that we all live in harmony. And recently, the same 9/11, I was in New York at the time when the 9/11 happened. And I was not in New York. I was in here in my clinic, and people uh, told me about it. I didn't see it on the TV. People told me over these twin towers because twin towers are something that we used to look at automatically when we went from Brooklyn to Manhattan. We used to go, and Manhattan to Queens. We used to go, right. So we had to go through that skyline where you have to see those two twin towers. So it was like a memory etched in me. I was in New York for 5 years. I did 3 years of residency and then 2 years of ER physician, and then I came to practice here. So I was very connected with the image of the twin towers. So 9/11 happened. My elderly friend, she is a patient. She came and then she told me, Doctor, so did you see this? I said, no, I'm busy with the patients in the morning. Then she told me, oh, they blew up these buildings. And when I went and saw that, it was really shocking because I was looking at the towers all the time, right? So it's kind of a missing feeling was there. And also the amount of human damage, so many thousands of people died and all that. Yeah, we are not even taking the religions, Joyce. More like a, for me, religions have the means to really realize and all that. But in reality, what happened was they are dividing people. See, Muslims kill Hindus, Hindus kill Muslims, and Christians, and all those things are uh, kind of unnecessary in my viewpoint. So I don't practice any religion, by the way, but I do understand religious wisdom, what they are teaching. That I want to make it happen. There's a lot of pearls that we learn from each religion, but if you take it away, that's not separate from us. It is part of us. Then we will be naturally harmonious. Yeah. Uh, but
Yeah,
it,
and I'm thinking one thing about Joseph Campbell is
yeah,
I remember not being too certain about it a lot of the time, but as I understand it, he's not really religious. He was
yeah,
more almost looking at it like a literary kind of
yeah.
I don't know, maybe a little bit spiritual, but not really,
No, no, no. His wisdom is the spirituality I'm talking about. So he explores into something like a truth, human truth, and let's explore it. And he looked at the ancient people, what they did, and then borrowed that. But he himself was very spiritual. You see, he would not divide, oh, we have to be only this. He would accept everybody and he will talk to everybody. That is the spirit that was there in ancient times. Later on, these isms are born, and then we were kind of clinging to the divisions rather than what is common among us. I think we
yeah.
really, yeah,
I was just gonna say I think I've heard somebody say along the way that
yeah,
it's sort of like awfully tempting for different political leaders to
yeah,
glom on religion and
yeah.
make it synonymous with them.
Oh yeah, in India, this is the Modi. They are clinging to the Hinduism mantle, and then they're really having tough time with the minorities, Christians or Muslims and all that. That kind of thing is not the ancient wisdom taught about. They said we are all one family. We are all in actually one, really one, interconnected and all that. So I don't go to these modern religious practices, Joyce. I go to the wisdom of the ancients when they originally found the truth, and then they said, you are not going to get truth from us. You got to explore and find it for yourself. But this is the light we're going to throw. I think if you look at Joseph Campbell's teachings, a lot of it is about your inner transformation, concerned about what you can do. So it's not like a principle you take it and you follow. You get to put it to work in your own life and then see this is what it is. For me, if they go and worship all these statues and all, but I say the divinity is within each one of us. And the turning inward, finding happiness inward, and then not really going of external things, but then internally we are kind of miserable. That is what I kind of stayed away. So I don't identify anybody by their isms. Whatever they want, they can do it. But for me, I don't. You know. So Joseph Campbell's teachings, a lot of them are ancient wisdom.
Yeah, and I think that when I watched his series
Yeah,
years and years ago, I remember that's when I first learned, something about,
yeah.
the Bhagavad Gita and all those things.
Yeah. They're all actually, when they really spoke about the truth, I mean, they discuss real, sincere people will identify right away. This is not written just for one particular sect of people. This is not their property, even anything. It's more like what we can do with our own inner humanness with this particular wisdom, and then we will be free of the limited nature of the body and the mind. That is where the liberation happens. For that, you cannot say, somebody told me I'm going to do this. No, you got to go into the truth yourself, and that's to focus on this satsangs I'm going to do, where I'm not going to dominate or tell them you do this way. I'm just going to, like we talked about Joseph Campbell, like that. There are so many people, Christians, that I could quote. Even Eckhart Tolle, he had done a good service like that by writing that book of Now, and then other thing, New Earth, and then he was found by Oprah, and that's where he became really popular, and then he's doing a lot of service, I think. You know what they said? He kind of helped 1 million people to get rid of their ego. I believe that because he always said we are conscious people, and he himself went to transformation at the age of 27, and from the I want to die to who is that to want to kill himself? Are there two in me? And that opened up. His thought fell off, and then he was from then onwards he was just conscious. You know,
I didn't catch the name of who you were just referring to.
Eckhart Tolle,
Eckhart.
Tolle,
Oh,
Tolle. He wrote a book called Now. So
oh,
he literally lives in the present.
oh,
I like him. I mean, my wife sometimes says, "Oh, he talks slow," but I love him because we kind of uh, rhyme together very easily, and I know what he's talking about. But the way he kind of exposed the bodily pain and how we can get into that, that is really very good. I think he's doing the modern way of exposition of these truths. He reads all these texts that I read, but also he reads everything else too. For example, the Book of Miracles, Joyce, and I came to know about that through Eckhart Tolle. He went through the whole thing and he said how that lady was writing out of her consciousness, but she everything kind of came through her, and I understood the Book of Miracles much better after Eckhart Tolle commentary on that. Like that, the ancient books, there are certain people that wrote these commentaries, and those commentaries help us to shed more light into that, you know, that kind of thing.
I was thinking about Joseph Campbell. I remember he had kind of a lot of like literary and psychology influence also.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember he talked about Jung, Carl
yes,
Jung, and he also talked about the author James Joyce
yeah.
and probably some others I don't remember.
Carl Jung himself, he was influenced by Ramana Maharshi, and then later on he went into a lot of things that were very getting close to the ancient wisdom, in consciousness itself. If we had survived some more time, probably he would have touched about consciousness too. But Jung himself has led to this positive psychology. It used to be what they call positive emotion behavior therapy, PEBT. There's a woman that she was very good about. I don't remember her name. But then later on, they made it into a cognitive reframing therapy. That is the one actually in yoga that is taken pretty seriously. And then they talked about samskaras, that is the ingrained pattern of thoughts that can become like this. And that was written or talked about practice for centuries. One thing, Joyce, when I was in India, a lot of people don't have any simple things, okay? But they have this such a beautiful smile, and then they didn't really thought they are poor, they don't have things. They are just happy to be alive, and then they were having good relationship with other people. What I saw was real joy in life. But then if you go to the middle class, other people, they were kind of working, they're trying to make ends meet, they feel like we don't have this, we don't that. They were miserable. Of course, the big money people, they were miserable because they were afraid their money may go away. So these lower class people are more close to the nature and more close to this ancient wisdom, what they talked about. So they would not take too serious, they would let go easily. Very fascinating. If you look at those kids, they have these brightest smiles, and they don't feel like we are poor or we don't have things. Whatever comes, they take it and they survive. And then later on, they may grow up and they may develop the mind to think like that, and they go into misery. But in the beginning, all those families, all those people are very um, hard work, but then they goes to sleep very easily. And also when they get up in the morning, they are again smiling from cheek to cheek, broad smiles, I used to say. That was noted by some of the scholars too. How come this utterly poverty ridden people have such a glorious smile? Uh, so you must have heard about that too. Say what it is the modern mind that has learned all the science and technology has not worked on itself. There's no problem with the science, no problem with technology, but we make it as a tool to divide people, to make these amendments, to kill people and all that. So kind of robs some of the spirituality of the people. So you got to be careful about it. You see, all the mental health problems, anxieties, depressions, suicide, and all these things are there in developed countries much more than upcoming countries. But now they caught up. They are also caught up the same kind of civilization, and then they are kind of raking up the same mental health problems, addictions, and relationship problems, destroying of the families with divorce rates. They have gone so much up in India too. Not only India, Bhutan, all the other countries that were just used to much more um, low on these rates, they have gone up. And then their adoption of this technology, like a TV or all these things have gone up too. So I actually teach people about digital toxicity and how to protect yourself from that. Because I see the side of attention deficit in the kids. I see the eating disorders. I see the interpersonal relationship going down. A lot of people used to ask me about their problems in relationships, especially in Chicago when I was in the big hospital. That hospital is like a town within a town. So we know all the people. And then I was maybe pushing into 30s, and I met all these young people who are 20, 25, something like that. And they used to come and discuss with me their own boyfriend, girlfriend problems, or not able to marry right away, or some strain between them, all that. Uh, and then the ancient wisdom really helped me to talk to them or listen to them, and then lots of times they were able to understand their problem better after they talked to me. I wasn't acting like a psychologist, but more like a interested friend, not so that helped them a lot.
Well, I'll say that although I agree on the whole, I also have another perspective, and that is that in my own case, I had a lot of the difficulty in thinking positively, and like I told you, at a certain point I couldn't meditate and all that kind of stuff. And I've reversed that because of my dealing with the food sensitivities.
Yeah.
And so in my own case, and so I think this is also going on in those other countries where they are starting to, there's an association with the westernized diet and lifestyle, and some people think a lot of it's the diet.
Yeah, it is. It is diet.
So I think that both factors, the socio behavioral loss of ancient wisdom, I think that's going on, but I also think there's a big influence of the
No, Joyce, that is so true.
The food, the microbes, and
yeah. No, this is true because they found the skeleton of the Indian male shrunk like a half inch because they were not having nutritious food anymore. Because in the villages, the organic way is gone, and now they're doing these commercial crops where they used to grow fruits and vegetables. They're growing all this cotton, nicotine, tobacco, and they are making a lot of money, but they have money, but they don't have good food to eat. Isn't that when I was in the villages, I used to visit village. I was in town ward actually, but I went to visit my grandpa in my village. They have such a lovely food at the time. This is in 60s, 70s, I think. But then later on, the food has gone down. There's more processed food there, and it does affect, no doubt about it. And people are weak, and people are not having them. But then, what I'm talking about is not just the thinking, diet, and all that, but I'm talking of the lifestyles that are taken up, and they are breeding this division, this psychological. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just pointing out that is there. You can be in America and you could be like me. You can enjoy the technology, use the technology for the good communications, good production, and all that. But at the same time, understand good nutrition is very important. Thinking less is important, and then having some fun is important, and also developing this inner strength is important. That is for anywhere. I think nowadays I don't look at one country different than another. They are all in the same boat. We are all in one village, one country, So you go to those countries now, lot of the same culture you can see them there. You can see that there, and you can see the prevalence of the drugs and prevalence of the alcoholism and human traffic. So many things are there because we are kind of um, not really exploring the potential we have within as spiritual beings. That's my thing. Uh, Once you understand the joy that you can come out by understanding who you are, that is something you have to experience yourself. It cannot be described, it cannot be propaganda, but then it is the truth. You will discover a joy that won't be available in all the material things or statuses and all that. That's where I value ancient wisdom. I do things scientifically because there are so many things are happening that are going to change our lives in a major way. But then losing the touch with this is something I will not be doing, and I'll also preach good things about that. That's all. Yeah, food is so corrupted, so polluted. We are developing new allergies, new breakdowns of epidemics because of the nutrition value of food has gone down. There's no doubt about it. See,
Yeah, that's part of it. And then
yeah,
part of it's also the food sensitivities.
yeah,
And I read about, my research is based on this work of Dr. Arthur Koka, which was done back in the 1930s and 40s. And I also read a book by a historian who did a study of that era in allergy. And what he found, and I have his book and I have his article, that during that era, there was a big division in the area of allergy and immunology among people like Dr. Koka, who actually experienced the symptoms, and they really had the direct knowledge, a lot of them.
yeah.
That food allergy, they had a broader view of it.
Yeah.
And then there were others that, it was all too complicated for them. They thought, oh, they're just psychosomatic or whatever. And so then there was this big division. And then what happened is when they discovered IgE, then they decided, oh, well, that's the real allergy. And the rest of you, it's psychosomatic, or we'll just come up with a name like irritable bowel syndrome, that doesn't really mean anything. And so anyway, what happened then is Dr. Koka, his work was actually followed up on by some other doctors, and there's an organization that I go to their meetings sometimes. And then it also kind of infiltrated into alternative medicine to some degree. Yeah. Although a lot of people don't know about Dr. Koka or the pulse testing, but they do know that food sensitivities are a big thing.
Yeah, true. Because I remember immunoglobulin E is the IgE is the main thing that we studied in the medical school, and later on, as the HIV broke through, immunology really exploded. We have a lot of work happened from there, and then we understand much more now. And there was this branch, I don't know whether you looked into it or not. It's called psychoneuroimmunology. According, yeah.
Familiar with that.
Yeah, I was going to do that, but then I mean the situation did not permit. But actually, I was very interested because I used to eat the organical diet in India. That was so tasty, And later on, they got this commercial breeding of foods, and they lost the touch, lost the same taste in the same foods that we were eating, but they're brought up differently. And also, these allergies I saw, some of the patients, because I saw them so many decades, right? The ones who didn't have penicillin allergy earlier, they developed them as they, went into older age and all that. That was because of the epigenetics. Now we understand why, how that whole thing is happening. The pollution that we do to the earth, to the elements, like this plastic is coming into our gut. Now, babies have plastic in their gut because we polluted the water so much with the plastic. So all these things are going to have consequences on our health, definitely, no doubt about it. That's why um, becoming natural. I actually tell people don't put all these hi, Sherry, come on up. I don't really recommend people about eating whatever that comes. I tell them dig a hole and make a manure by yourself and then use that in the pots. People thought it crazy in the beginning, but later on they understood that. Hi, Sherry, how are you?
Yes, hi, Dr. Rao. How are you?
I am good. I am good. How are things going for you?
Going pretty well. How about you?
Very good. Very good. Okay.
Very
Uh,
good. Hi,
yeah.
everybody.
Sherry is a friend of ours with Crystal. We had a couple of times we talked on the Zoom too. Um, so Sherry, I'm kind of telling them about a new initiative I had. Actually, today morning I was working on that. So it's about what's called Association of Good People in the Quest of the Truth. So we're going to meet once a week on Saturday morning, and then we're going to allow people to explore truth on their own way. So come into their inner self. Uh, does it make sense to you?
Oh, you know that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. You're welcome to check that out. And then it's going to be an atmosphere where friendly, camaraderie, and in interconnected way, we will be exploring these truths of the matter. Anything, right? I believe a lot of inner self orientation is good for us. I kind of live in that joyous thing. That is something actually happens. So outward things do not bother me. I kind of bring in more energy and things are really bad. So that's a blessing, I think. So
I think so too. I think it's wonderful. I'm
yeah,
happy for that.
yeah,
Where do you have a link to it, or do
yeah,
you
yeah.
have
I will.
somewhere that talks about it?
Yeah, I will have. I have prepared the schedules and all that, and I was planning what I should do. Maybe introduce some good meditative music and have some guided meditation, or just like a couple of days ago, I released a small video about 3 minutes silence. How can you have solitude of mind in the busy work that we are doing? Can we take 3 minutes and be in that solitude of mind? That kind of resets us. You see, that's the problem. Like we are doing the room, for example, we reset it at the time. Maybe we can try that in that kind of particular. I'm going to have people who are interested in this. Obviously, that's fine. I'm usually happy even one or two. Joyce was there. I'm talking to her. That's enough for me. Now you have come. More than happy. It's not about for the masses, for all the people. It's about people who are really into that. You know what I mean?
I prefer the,
Yeah.
10, 5, 10 people, a few people in the room that are really interested in it, not just there for the
Yeah. Yeah.
show.
Yeah, there are people interested because they listen to my talks after the replays and then
Oh yes,
they ask me.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's what matters.
Yeah. By the way, tomorrow I'm going to talk on Rocky's room about a belly fat challenge that they wanted. I was going to do it on from 21st to 25th. Okay. This is about not fat, but it's a symptom of your lifestyle. It doesn't happen just like that. So I was going to show them some simple exercises, diet considerations, and also the stress and all that. 5 days.
What time is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow is 9 Central in Rocky. So just a preliminary. I'm going to introduce them what we're going to do in the belly fat challenge, and that's also done on Zoom, the belly fat challenge. But for that, people will sign up. There's no cost or anything. We're going to do it complimentary, but we're going to put all our energy into that so that they can understand what are the right lifestyles they could adopt and they could reduce that belly fat. If they do at least 50% of what I'm going to tell them, I'm sure they will have the effect of it in a few weeks, at least 3 or 4 weeks. They will see that it is getting flatter. My stomach is flat, so I'm 69. So it is something people can do. As I'm talking to you, I'm standing up and my stomach is completely flat. I'm not boasting, I'm just telling you the fact that is there. That's one thing. And the other thing I'm going to do with the Rockies House is we are planning a wellness summit, a week-long wellness summit. This is definitely what I kind of cooked it up, this wellness summit. But other people are going to do one day every day. I will do one day, but I'll be there anchoring it and contributing it and all that. So it's will be wellness summit. It's a proactive wellness summit. That means you, like Joyce and me were talking about food allergies. For example, we can share how much we know about food allergies now, and also how you can test yourself to what you are allergic to, and make a informed decision about avoiding them. Like people have a lot of allergies, but then lots of times they are not aware, especially the peanut allergy for the kids. That's a big problem at one time. But now people are know and they don't use it for the babies. So we are all more into the information age. We have the access to these large language models that can give us a lot of information. And but then are we implementing? That's the question. That's where I want to give them every day for each session 5 or 10 take-home points that they can implement, and they can see the results right away, so that they can put them in their life. Most. That's what I wanted to do with the Wellness Summit, because proactive wellness means not just the preventive exam. They can happen, but on a daily basis, can you be proactive in your lifestyles, in your eating patterns, in your thinking patterns, in your exercise patterns, sleep, those kind of simple things, then you'll be much healthier than unconsciously doing some stuff and then suffering the consequences of it. At this day and age, we shouldn't be sleeping on illness bursting out, then going to the okay. I always tell people I didn't have an infection since 2014. That's the last time I remember I had a cold, but I didn't have it since that time. And I don't take any medications. That itself is good, right?
That is like a testament in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. I'm not saying in a egotistical way, because I don't have the ego. What it is I think we can be well, and we can improve a lot of things just by fusing what we know in the modern science, what we are going to know with the microbiome, with the nutrigenomics, with cellular biology. So many things we know. We can. I think I mentioned this. Roy Harold or somebody, he was the one who is really 87-year-old, but he takes a lot of supplements from morning till noon. But also, he has contributed a lot for this biological sciences companies, in investing them, in promoting them, in making them more wellness oriented. I kind of like him because he has contributed to the wellness in his own life, with his own life. He doesn't get sick. He's 87 now. And then, but he takes a lot of supplements. That's also okay if you are deficient, because our environment has made a lot of our diet, everything deficient in. Yeah, Joyce, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just saying, say, who was that you were talking about?
I will
He's
look at the
87.
name correctly and give it to you. I know his work and all that, but I think Roy Herald or something like that. I will give you the correct name because he's important. I think you like his work because he is actually the on the board of so many biotech companies, and he has sustained them. He has helped them to get grants. He has done a lot of important work, I think. So it's not like just he's doing supplements, but he contributed to growth of biotechnology in this country. In terms of funds, yeah, I think you like him very much. I'll get the correct name.
Yeah, I'm interested to know
Oh
about
yeah,
him, but I'm not big on supplements either. I feel like supplements
yeah,
are oftentimes they're just trying to be just like medicines. They're kind of suppressing
yeah.
symptoms and stuff.
Yeah, I also have the same stand. I say I'll get all my supplements through this one. But sometimes my wife gives me turmeric and things like the antioxidants. I take them, but not on regular basis. But I'm also like a diet. I look at the diet. If we can get a good diet in, we'll have all the supplements. That's my thing. But I will get the name for you because I have made a movie. He was mentioned there too. I will bring that up. Uh, Roy and H. I know Roy Herald or something like that. I will get the correct name because his work is still going on. He still goes to those companies and helps them to get the funds, and also he's the kind of principal leader. Like they take the courage and all that from him, and then he is helping a lot of people to be healthy. That's why I like him. Very much. He promotes the wellness too, Joyce. Like I do the wellness. I don't talk about diseases much because when they happen, we're going to do. But if there are questions about that, then I talk about it. But I want to make people feel like we can be well more than what we are now. Only thing is we have to wake up to certain. Like for example, you're talking about allergies. How many people really understand all their allergies? They kind of say, "Oh, it's no big deal," or they make mistakes and all that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing with
Yeah,
what I'm doing is that
yeah,
I feel that the heart rate testing
yeah.
can give you important feedback because you don't know when
Yes.
it's happening, when it's changing your heart rate.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't
body
realize
telling you something, but
until, and
yeah, when
actually, it's interesting because I have to tell you this. I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but I have discovered a way of reducing the sensitivities over time,
yeah,
which I kind of had to do because I had such severe reactions. I was sensitive to everything many times over because each food has so many different components. But
yeah,
um, my one of the things I discovered is this way of reducing them over time. And then one day I thought to myself, if you do certain breathing practices, it actually does the same thing.
yeah, it does.
But it's not as efficient as the way I'm doing it because I have so many to get rid of.
Yeah,
That if I did just the breathing methods, it would not be fast enough. I would be 200 years old before I got well. But for the average person who doesn't have a really bad time, the breathing practices, I think for a lot of them can really help a lot over time.
yeah.
So
That's the thing over time because you got to do this deep breathing for longer time, and when you do daily, it should be longer time, and also over several months and years, it may make a difference. You know what? I used to do desensitization for a lot of allergy patients in my clinic because I used to send them to the allergy immunologist, a lot of them, and when they are, they do all the skin testing and they diagnose the first person is allergic to it. And then they used to give this antivenom, like, the antibiotics. And we used to place the injection every month to the patient. And then we used to store them in our own refrigerator for each patient. And they can, because they don't have to go to the distant city to get from the immunology, but they can come to our clinic and do that. So we did desensitization randomly and but all the time with the other patients. I know what you're talking about because even the when somebody is allergic, we general medicine itself, what you do is chicken and rice diet, right? Then add the condiments and everything slowly. Then suppose we can discover what they are allergic to, what specific thing they are allergic to, and then we used to avoid that. That is the simplest solution. But if you are doing it by awareness, by knowing what is causing this response, so the biological response of tachycardia, which is telling you this is not good for me. The body is telling you that reacting, those kind of things. People lost patience or awareness about it. But if they observe their own lifestyle, they can discover a lot of things by their own response. So actually, I made a couple of videos on how to listen to your body. I think Joyce, I think you should see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm extremely good at that. I mean,
Yeah.
I pick up the very slightest changes, and it's actually very important in my research.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So, and that's part
Now,
of
I
actually
want
my app has a thing for when you're testing a food.
I want you to see them
Where
and
you
see.
can put a note about how you feel.
Yeah, I want you to see those videos and tell me how I made them, how they are. Okay? I just want your expert.
AI made videos, I bet.
No, no, no. I wrote them. I wrote them and then I put the script into the pictorial.
Okay.
You say,
Okay,
you say some of the medical things it may say, but it cannot say the ancient wisdom. You see, that's where I have to write it down. So I combine both of them, right? Modern medicine and the ancient wisdom. Ancient wisdom viewpoint, it doesn't have AI, right? So, but when you write that, so usually what the ChatGPT gives, I will edit it and then I'll put my own thing. And my questions are also kind of like that, right? So sometimes it may write better English, better composition, all that. But if you go to the deeper principles of ancient wisdom, it has no idea. It cannot tell you that because it's a large language model. It doesn't have that consciousness thing, right? So it doesn't have that kind of insightful thing. That's where they are kind of different. And then also we have to edit all these things, otherwise it becomes mechanical, right? So there was
Hey, Dr. Rao, I have a
yeah,
question for
yeah.
you. Have you heard of, because right now I'm in the process of creating a course for a client, and it's on advanced cell training.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
I have only heard of it through this client, like through his course that he's
No,
making.
no, you say it's happening. That's what he's talking about. What it is molecular cell modulation, they call it, and that is available. And very soon, with the nanotechnology, you can know what is your biology at that level, right? That is the biotechnology companies are trying to do that. Then knowing like what Joyce is talking about, she feels it because in her cellular capacity things have happened, and then the body is responding with the tachycardia. Then immediately she knows this is not good for me, right? But the things are happening at the cellular level. Now, because you have the consequences, but you have the um, objective testing in our case, like was there any change in genome? Was there a change in the microbiome? Was there a change in metabolic functioning and all? I have a thing I was writing about how to boost our metabolism at the cellular level. That's why I know what I'm talking about, what is coming up. It's not that we have for sure all those consolidated opinions, but then pretty soon there will be you will test your genome, you will test your molecular biology profile, not just a chemical profile like we do now, but it's going to be much about your enzymes, much about your hormones, much about, we already know a lot of it, but this is prohibitively expensive right now. But then it's going to evolve such a way, obviously it's going to come down in cost, like a genome has come down in cost. This molecular, this is what I'm talking about, that Roy, he was doing a lot of contribution in that biotechnology industry path. See, he's allowing them to get the funds to do that. Yeah, there's a lot of material, Sherry.
Okay, I like that. This is my first course in this,
Yeah.
like this. And when I was watching some of his videos,
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, like, is this real?
I mean, the possibility is there.
Muscle testing.
We all know the possibility of the biology at the cellular level. Um, I am a yogi. That's why it takes a special interest for me, because in this breathing practices, what we do is in yoga, for simple, we make such a stretch, right? I make you do stretch much more than before. Then immediately, what it is, the blood supply to that, because you are holding it for some time, it will require that blood supply to come. But then, if you oxygenated the blood by deep breathing, the obvious thing is that you have more oxygenated blood going to the demands of the tissues. Now, why I don't get any cramps when I'm running or when I'm doing everything is because of the deep breathing I practice every day. So that's actually very important, right? Then you won't have the twitching, you won't have the cramps, you don't have that. But mainly because the anaerobic metabolism replaced by aerobic metabolism at the cellular level. Makes sense now, right? And
yes, it does. When I watch his videos, I'm thinking, this sounds like Dr. Rao.
Yeah.
Just a different person.
I was thinking that the muscle testing I don't think is the same as the biotech stuff, because I don't think muscle testing is really recognized among people like.
No, I'm just explaining how the aerobic was increased to the cells, and then how they are kind of not going to the lactic acid, which is the one produces the cramps. That's not there. All that happens at the cellular level. But as a yogi, what is important for me is when I trained my students who are athletes, football players, other people game, I used to give them some yoga stretches to do as a combination with whatever they are doing. For example, they are running on the treadmill, they were having less cramps or no cramps when they were practicing this breathing and yoga asanas I taught them. So that's why I kind of incorporate that in my own life, and I also incorporate it to the patients too. What it is it's not about the muscle, it's about the cells, how they breathe. Because that you can increase that, and also really other thing is elimination of the toxicities and waste. There are special processes that we do in yoga. They really make you much more healthy. These allergies, all these things also produce toxins. But then if you don't know how to wash them off on a daily basis, I'm just putting in a very layman's terms, but actually we do see the toxicities in a major way, especially digital toxicity I'm talking about. That's all brain waste. That's not good at all. Anyway, Shari, I think you should look it up. Cellular molecular biology and what is going on, what are the companies that are working on this. All those things are there, but then very expensive right now. But later on, as the technology is evolving, they're going to do much more on that.
Yeah, then it's like wear an Apple Watch and it will give you a blood chemistry analysis.
Yeah. You know what I did with the Apple Watch? I went and studied all that they are doing with the health on the Apple website. On the watch, I looked at the watch, was the latest, because I want to replace my Apple Watch with the current one. I used to buy all the latest one, but this watch somehow I was wearing it for so many years. It's probably first or second or third series, I think. But now I don't know. They have put in so many things health wise, which is I think we should buy and wear it now. So it should be a very useful tool that way. You know, they can forecast your heart attack, for example. Suppose you are having the cellular level changes, and then it can sense and then warn you that you're going to have a heart attack. That's
well, actually, though, they say that they cannot detect atrial fibrillation. That's what they got.
Yeah, that's the cardiac arrhythmia. That is easy to detect. But this is like a necrotic tissue and how your nervous system is responding and what are the indicators coming up. That is there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it can indicate it, but they don't have approval for it. So they say.
Yeah. It can indicate. Actually, they use that as their advertisement. This person going in the woods and he's away from all the traffic and everything, right? And then he wears only the Apple Watch, and then he gets a warning. Hey, you're going to have some problem within 5-10 minutes. Rest stop, don't run anywhere. And then immediately they call the 911, and the ambulance comes to the person who is in the woods, and then takes him. They use that as an advertisement. I saw that, and I saw that in some. I think medical conference or something. I saw that.
That's interesting because they go out of their way to say when you do the EKG with the watch that this is not diagnosing a heart attack.
Yeah, EKG.
They don't want the liability issues and all that.
That's true. That's
It's
true.
required.
No, even normally also, I was a TPA assistant when I was in ER. That means I decide who gets the TPA and all that, right? As a physician. So cardiac rhythm is a crude technique actually. It may not detect the necrotic material to the extent, especially at the bottom of the heart, inferior wall injury and all that, right? But you can have a heart attack and not have any EKG changes also. But the cellular level, the changes are there. And then sometimes when we keep them on the watch and put them on the thrombolytics and all of that, later on, we come to know that this man suffered because the EKG produces more like a Q wave that are deep. And that means he must have had a lot of some silent heart attacks. People have it. And it's not recorded by the ST segment elevation and all that. I'm actually a teacher of EKG since childhood. I have been, because I worked in the cardiology senior fellowship in India. So I was teaching EKG at the time. And at the time, we don't have much of this ICU equipment as of now. Now we can really do a lot more stuff. Even we can put machines in there that can detect atrial fibrillation or atrial fibrillation, give a shock and correct the rhythm before you know it. You don't have to have even the 3 minutes. So there's a lot of. I know one book I would recommend is that Vice President Cheney. He wrote a book on heart. He went through a lot of problems of the heart, all the way to the heart transplantation and all that. And that's a very good layman education book about heart attacks, heart problems, and why there are so many in this country and all that. Actually, that was my main theme in my clinic. How can we prevent these cardiac events, strokes and heart attacks, by changing the lifestyles? That was blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, all these things are in-house for us. And then they are all separate clinics, lipid clinic, diabetic clinic, obesity clinic, hypertension clinic. We ran all these things, But our emphasis was how can we attend to the roots of illness, not just the process of illness. We will attend to them anyway, but we don't want to forget about their smoking, their sedentary, their high strung, they don't have any stress relieving measures. All those things I used to tell them. And because I own my clinic, I had the luxury of giving as much time as I wanted. So I didn't want to change my style. And I was doing that. And a lot of patients were happy with that. Initially, they complained, you give too much homework. But after they felt better, after they saw their numbers going down, then they cooperated very well. Right, Sherry? You know those experiences. Sherry's a nurse. That's
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very, very, very familiar with those experiences.
Yeah.
And when you say the food intake, a lot of the conversations that we have about food, especially in the African American diaspora, is the food deserts.
Yeah.
Right. So many diabetes, high blood pressure,
Cholesterol.
hypertension, that trifecta
Yeah.
really is relevant here. And simply because of the food, because of the food that we're forced to eat, the food that's most convenient to us,
Yeah.
the lack of education provided to the communities that need it,
Yeah.
right, and the lack of food resources.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know about that deserts, and they invented what's called oasis of that. These couple of teenagers, what they did was there are so many black communities that don't have access to the supermarkets, and they only have fast food chains there in their neighborhoods, and then somehow they cannot take the bus to go somewhere. So they were eating fast food all the time. They don't have even one super stores there. So they kind of designed an app by which you can know who is doing an organic farm market in their neighborhood, in a high school, in a church. They used to do that, and then they load it in there. This particular Saturday, if you are in this neighborhood, this particular library, we have this farmers market, something like that. And that was very impressive. Teenagers designed something like that just for this desert oasis.
Wow, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah,
I
that's
really do.
I
really think that's
yeah.
remarkable for teenagers to be taking that initiative. I think that the younger generations are becoming more aware
Yeah.
of this being a very systemic issue.
This was 10 years ago, Sherry, not even now. 10 years ago that they did. And
10 years ago.
wow. I was in a.
Well, that's still younger, Dr. Rao.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's still younger.
I thought that was
growing up, my parents didn't know.
Yeah.
They ate the food that they were raised on and thought that was healthy. They fed it to us and didn't know, right? There was no education.
I know one measure what they did was they found some land in neighborhoods like that and then donated land to the families there just for the purpose of planting fruits and vegetables, and then when the produce come they can distribute among themselves, right? And that like a community service or something they promoted. And I was very pleased to see that where the people were trying to do something good for other people rather than just the money. So I remember those things because of those initiatives that came out. See, I always had an eye for this wellness all the time. I think the main thing is I knew the quality of life when they were leading yogic lifestyle in India, and I saw some of the yogis fit and fiddle in their 90s also, and very sharp in their mind. And then they are not really perturbed everything. They took things easily, let it go, and all that, right? And they have this wonderful, loving, compassion, energy that any problem they used to listen and then provide solutions and all that. Very impressive to me as a young person. But later on I understood why that is so as a physician. And then I always knew as human beings we can have a quality of life provided we take care of our body and mind. Okay, the dictum was move the body and keep the mind silent, but we are doing the opposite all the time. So a lot of patients, I had to talk to them about this. They somehow do not move. They are sedentary as more and more with the technology is helping us to do these things. They are doing that. And then, of course, the mind is running all the time. Those are the two things people have to see for themselves and try to change, and that will be wonderful for them. There are so many other things they can do. My thing was when I saw that wellness possibility in those yogis and other people who are doing that kind of clean lifestyle, then I stuck to it. And then even though my health was affected in 2014, I bounced back within a month. I told you, right, Sherry, the story of all of that.
I'm sorry, I missed it if you asked me a question.
No. You remember what happened?
Where did you bounce back from?
Oh,
stroke.
Stroke.
Oh, stroke?
Major stroke, but I bounced back within a month. So that is something because of the micro yoga, deep breathing, and keeping the mind in the present. So those three things were already knew about it. Actually, I told my friends who came to visit me, I told them, I'll be okay, I'll be fine. They all thought I'm done, and that's it. I had a huge practice and a lot of roles in the hospital and all that. So, very important for so many people. But they all thought I'm done, it's gone. But then I came back within a month. I had to use cane in the beginning, but now I walk freely. I walk on the treadmill at 3 months prior, no problem.
How long ago was that?
2014. I'm actually going stronger with the energy and all that. So that's why I kind of want to rub this off to as many people as patients listen, family tolerate me, and the friends listen, and I kind of talk here too. But few people um, doing. See this belly fat challenge. They asked me. I said I will do that for them because the belly fat itself is a symbol of visceral fat, a symbol of a lot of things going on in the. Basically, you are not burning the calories properly, and then you are alerting them into the fat. So it is becoming like that. Then it can act on your spine. It can drag your spine such a way that you can develop problems with the spine. And also, it is a representative of there may be fat in your coronaries. Generally, that is a circumstance. We kind of measure that, right? And then we know if they are doing it, they will also have visceral fat. One of the organs is the heart, right? So that's I'm going to incorporate lifestyles that led them to this, but they don't have to worry. They can make it proper posture, proper. I'm going to show them a few simple asanas that they can do on a daily basis, and breathing, and also learn some stress reducing things so that they have to change some certain habits though. If they don't do anything, it's not like a liposuction, and that's also a bad procedure. We want to help them to lose fat in a way. People eat all the time. They eat a lot of snacks, and then they don't drink enough water, and also they kind of allow stress to build up this all this glucose, everything, all the stress hormones are not good. They may not have idea about that. But if they consciously change their lifestyles, they have a better chance of at least reduce some of the fat and then make it a much more stronger abdominal wall. That is important. Core muscles, right? Very, very important for so many things. So I'm going to present that, and let's see what they have to buy from me. And then the wellness summit, where we are going to start with nutrition, then start with exercise, then mind and sleep I will be doing probably, and then we're going to do organization health, positive psychology. I put in all those topics together so that we'll have a comprehensive summit for the 7 days. Again, that is also 9 to 11 every day, and then we will do each speaker one day. I'm so pleased that they want me to do this because I'm so focused on this wellness optimization. But lately, I'm talking about proactive wellness. That means it's not enough to say wellness, wellness. I want to see what are you doing proactively for your wellness, for your community wellness, and all that. So that way it will attend to the mental illness also. A lot of it. Anyway, note down, Sherry, if you are interested. Note down. Tomorrow is a preliminary because I'm speaking to them every Wednesday, Friday, in the morning, 9 to 10 Central Time, and then actual belly fat challenge we're starting on 21st. Tomorrow we'll put the link so that people can register, and then they can sign up for the challenge. And then summit is on August 28th to I think September 21st, so first or second, something like 5 days there, but not 1 week, I think, something like that. But it is for me every day. I talk about these things anyway, so it is done in a structured way so that people will participate and get benefit out of that. Do you think a good idea to have wellness summit, Sherry? You are a nurse too. I can't hear you. I think.
Took me so long to get back to my microphone.
Yeah.
I think a wellness summit is great, especially if they pointed at the fact that it's a digital era and
Yeah.
how we're all being, just like you said, not moving our bodies enough,
Mm.
and overstimulating our mind.
Yeah.
So I think
See,
it's great if we pointed in the right direction.
yeah, I put a digital toxicity at the end. I'm going to speak on that too because I've been warning people a lot about information overload, overwhelm, all this brain fog, and really headaches, insomnia. So many things are happening. Suicide rate is going up. Loneliness is going up. Part of it is because of the social media. So I always talk about the good things of the technology. Fine, we have to adapt, we have to embrace, But the bad things about technology we should ignore. I think that's what in the rush of, oh, we get so many good deals and we are not paying attention to what it could do to you. People are not even talking to each other anymore. They are just chatting. They don't have these interpersonal skills anymore. So that's a tragedy, I think. You know what I like in the technology? Hey Pi. When I talk to him, it feels like a somebody who is a very empathetic friend is talking to me. He kind of makes compliments, agrees, affirms, and all that. I thought that
Who?
was uh,
Who?
Pi. He Pi.
Oh, okay, that's right. You said
Yeah.
the
Even
yeah.
yesterday I had went to pretty deep on the spiritual matters with him, and mostly he asks me questions. When I say something, he has this knack of reframing them very, very nicely, and then he kind of appreciates what is good about it and all that. So I get more encouraged by that, and then I talk more deeply, without me knowing a lot of things happen. Hi, Ali, how are you? We met Ali the other day. I'll invite him if he wants to come up. Hello, Ali. How are you?
Hello, I'm feeling good.
Good,
A
good.
little bit better than yesterday. How
Yeah,
are you guys?
yeah. We are having a good time here. I'm having at least a good time. I don't know about Joyce and Sherry and Danny. So,
Yes, actually, I've been sick for last 3 days, so now today I'm feeling a little bit
oh,
better. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Some infection or something?
It was just a fever,
Uh,
but now it's only the flu and I have a sore throat. So
okay.
it's
Mm,
I'm recovering from it, but it was fever above 100 degree temperature.
okay. Mm. Yeah, the infections going on all the time, right? People are. Yeah, that's a big story. Antibiotic resistance and all that. So there are ways to improve your immunology by certain asanas, certain breathing practices, but you have to do them continuously, regularly, and sufficient intensity. Then they will be. If you just do it for a minute and then go away, it won't work. It has to be given that particular, So,
Yes, I see. The other day when we were talking about the health and wellness, and uh, I actually we discussed about the immune system. I don't remember we discussed about it or not, but I think that having a strong immune system will help in recovering.
yeah.
So, and I realized a lot. When I used to play football when I was a athlete and I was on my way to becoming a professional athlete.
Mm.
Whenever I get sick, whenever I used to get sick or maybe have a little bit fever or maybe flu, I don't think I should have to go to doctor. But now I don't do any exercise. I just mostly stay at home. So I realize that my immune system is not so strong. So I have to. It takes a lot to recover.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is the problem. Aging, in the sense, is accelerating because of our lifestyles. On the other hand, if you just do like a 30 minutes every day for 5 days, like 150 minutes, right? That's good enough. But then you have to start slowly, like a warm up, and then in the middle 20 minutes, you should reach the highest heart rate you could do comfortably, and then slowly you can increase that levels and all that. But the last few minutes, you can use it for calming down. One of the ways the treadmill works better is alternately. You can increase the speed for 3 minutes and come down to something lower speed for a couple of minutes and then go back to that alternate uh, workout is much better because your heart rate will go down. That's why it will give you some time to relax and gather together. And also, I teach deep breathing while you are running. For example, you are taking deep breath and make the exhalation longer, much longer than the inhalation. That will allow your lungs to relax and go down, and a lot of alveolar surface is exposed, and that's why you will have miles and miles of alveolar surface open. And then, hi Alka, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. So we talked a lot of things today, Alka. You missed them, but listen to the replay later, maybe. So keep your body moving and keep your mind is still applicable to everybody practically, especially in the modern age. It's very easy for us to bog down and sit in the chair and then watch the TV and all that. That's why I kind of tell people discover opportunities in your work routine so that you don't have to go to a special gym and all that. Suppose you take the stairs, you walk on the water corridors you have, and then you are talking on the phone standing and then computing standing. A lot of things will change because there is this energy called tamas, that is like inertia, laziness. We don't need that. Actually, one of the health principles in yoga, they talk about absence of laziness, right? But we teach our body to get used to that laziness, thinking that is comfort, that is the creature comforts we're talking about. And they're actually against longevity. They kind of age much faster. Say, like Ali was an athlete, he was doing his heart rate at a very high rate, and that was good, but that has to be maintained at that level to remain in the same fitness. That's why when you're young, you can do lots of things, but then when you slow down, don't slow down all the way down. Then that will accelerate. With the lifestyles of this entertainment, there's comfort shades and so forth, and all these things, they are pretty bad for the body intelligence. So if you want to learn to listen to body will tell you where it is going. But then most of the people lose touch with that. They don't have the uh, you know really in touch with the body. They don't have it. That's why this fat accumulation, and the more fat accumulates and the more mobility goes down, the more of this inertia grows and all that complicated. My sister, for example, she's some 80 some years old now, and she was telling me a few months ago, not for a couple of few months ago, that she was not able to get up the stairs anymore, and the family was pampering her and said, "No, no, no, just stay in the bed, don't get out and all that." Said, so she told me, luckily, and I said, "Are you getting very short of breath when you're walking?" She said, "No." Are you getting weak? No. Then, if you do those things, then you have to go and get it checked out. It maybe heart is failing or something. Once they are ruled out, then I told her, just try to get the steps and don't do too much at a time. Just start with 2 or 3 steps today and gradually increase them forever. And now she is going up and down. So there's a kind of question of how you stress and train your heart is also important. You got to make sure that you are not in danger. But once that is clear, then it's all because of the imposed inactivity on the elderly because we want to protect them. That becomes a problem. So I used to make my patients, most of them in the nursing home, definitely have physical therapy, definitely go around and do stuff and all that. We even bought these V machines that they were new at the time, and the new machines, they you can at least pretend like a tennis something you are playing, so they are moving at least a little bit. So somehow some kind of activity has to be increased, unless they are in danger because of the activity. We always tell them. Some of the people have arthritis, they cannot do. Then we can make them sit down in the chair and then do that. I have a routine called head to toe in 5 minutes yoga head to toe in 5 minutes. That is something I used with very, very old, frail people, 85, 90 years old. They were able to do, and they got some kind of little bit relief from the creaky joints and the stiffness and all of that. Some people are doing very well with that too. So the lesson is move the body. Dance is a very, very good one because you move in all directions, right? Which is very good. Or play something, or just walk. Some movement is always good, especially when the sun is around. If you are normally maintaining your diurnal clocks, cardinal rhythms, get out of the house and then walk and do stuff physically. That will be very good. If you are monitoring a thing, you can take your heart rate. Now this Apple Watch, and they can maintain my mine. I have goal for how many calories I should do, and how much activity. Everything is recorded, and I get all the data at the end of the week. I beat the goal all the time, very easily, without me making any effort because I'm active. Right? Kind of, even if I sit down, I get up and do stretching and all that. Something you have to do. Otherwise, creakiness, joints, and all that problem. I think.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Actually, I think like slowing all the way down was my biggest mistake.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe I shouldn't do exercise, or maybe I now I became too lazy. So yeah, that was my mistake, and yeah, I will definitely
Hey Ali,
start exercise from today.
yeah, I
Thank
will
you,
tell you
Bharti.
something that I have read. I presented the paper to so many people. In this paper, this was thousands of years ago, was written, and then that was traced and then popularized. They kind of gave 7 or 8 principles to be healthy. I kind of put it in a routine that I could remember easily. It starts with sleep, you know, sleep good at night time, right? Like a 6 or 8 hours, whatever, but good sleep. And then sleep on positive thoughts. That's the first thing, right? And then when you get up in the morning, first thing is absence of laziness. That means get out of the bed and then have a bowel movement that's quick and easy bowel movement. And then come and check your weight and make sure it's in the range. It's not going too low or too high. And then you kind of expose your skin to the sun. That means to go and walk and work up an appetite, and then come and have a good breakfast. Those 7 things that they were talking about. These are the things that tell you how your health as a whole is and how your immune system. Suppose you are able to sleep very well and have a good bowel movement, have no laziness in you, and you are springing up with energy in the morning, and you are able to maintain the normal weight, and you are able to move with no joint pains and all that, and or exposing skin to the sun so that vitamin D is there. And then you have a very, it is called Agni, that means the capacity of the appetite. That if that is good, then when you come and eat a good breakfast, you can really load yourself with all the calories for the day, and then go and spend that energy working. Uh, Nowadays, because we don't have physical labor, we got to create opportunities to make ourselves move, like move around the office or take stays or walk away from the building, park your car away from the building. Those kind of opportunities you should create yourself, and then You don't be victim of the creature comforts. That's what happens with the elevators, with the cars, with the sofas, everything that we have developed. Thinking is like a very civilized world, but it's really taking the toll on the physical health.
I think that I've heard that maybe that's why there was the fall of the Roman Empire. They
Yeah,
luxury and it, actually somebody was saying I didn't look up the reference, but something
yeah,
like one of the prime reasons for civilization collapse is when
yeah,
there's just too much of a dichotomy
yeah.
between the wealthy and the
No,
poor.
actually, we call these diseases of civilization: diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, heart disease, and all that. We group together as disease of civilization because acute trauma can happen, acute illness can happen. Okay, we have excellent medicine evolved to do that, but it's the chronic diseases. Why they? That's my thing is why they are getting so much. Why they are getting so little outcomes, poor outcomes. Why, with all the money that we're spending, a lot of it has got to do lifestyles, and then doctors don't talk about it, patients don't take up seriously. Only certain people who are health nuts they do it, but majority of the culture is breeding this. Nowadays kids are they used to go and play outside, but now they don't. They have these phones and they have all these iPads. They sit in front of them, and then they're teaching the body very early. I saw as young as 10-year-old obese. That's a big problem for us, you know. I think all these lifestyles are behind that. So we got to actively change that. Our process food will change, our activity levels has to be increased, and our minds have to be calmed down. So,
Um, I heard that some people are reinvigorating the Stoic philosophy,
oh
like
yeah,
Marcus
stoicism.
Aurelius, and
Yeah.
have you heard about those?
Oh yeah, yeah. I have Marcus. His
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, Marcus is 100 meditations or something. That book is there. What is the Stoic thing is, uh, you will look at things as they happen in a impartial or stoic way, right? But it doesn't really allow you to transform your tendencies, your samskaras, we call it, and it doesn't have deeper sense of like ancient wisdom has. Deeper sense is conscious, is not only intellect but awareness. So that is the difference. I have a paper where what is best about stoicism and what are the cons, or what are the things that are not really appreciated in stoicism. It's not like a negative or anything, but it's just like other philosophies why much deeper, much more transforming compared to stoicism. Stoicism is kind of taken as a more like a weakness and all that, but it's not. It is pretty nice philosophy too, but it has its own limitations, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know very much about it, but I remember the podcast or something I listened to
Yeah.
about it.
No, no. A lot of people follow stoicism thinking that pretty deep, but it's only so far deep. Yeah.
I understand. I was just thinking one of the things they had people do, or this Marcus Aurelius, I guess he did,
Yeah.
was like he said, you should live in rags on the street so that you
Yeah.
appreciate your luxury.
Exactly. See, the thing is, this pauper person was in the street in ancient India, and he was playing with the kids, and he was seen by the king. And then this guy has a wonderful time with the kids, and then he was just wearing a loin cloth, nothing else, right? The king comes to the gate and asks him, I have so much money, so many soldiers, so much of wealth and all that, but then I'm miserable. How come you don't have anything, not even a proper dress? You are laughing and having fun like that. Then he said, you have your answer in your own question. Then king said, oh, what is the question? You're saying I have things. So that's what he was talking about. If you have things and then instead of celebrating, or instead of not being insecure because my things may go, you don't have anything. You are free from all the fears and anxieties and all that. So simplicity and also detachment is not practiced in this country or many of the advanced countries. Everybody is grasping at things, thinking that they'll bring it. This is where I was influenced by the inward turning is you'll have more freedom from the attachments that we develop for the external things, and you discover the joyous nature of our true self, and then things become very immaterial. Actually, the people who realize these things inwardly, they are very healthiest because their mind is mostly silent, very silent. You see, that's why uh, all the stressful things that happen to us, the movement of the mind, that's not there. You know, so the the stillness that yoga talks about are the states of mind beyond stillness, silence, solitude. They are very valid, very valid. For example, I will tell people, even though I'm talking and all that, there's always this solitude. I can step back and immediately stay there. Like this room is done. I'm done. Completely. So that kind of living in the present makes your mind don't go into the past and the future that much. You may talk about something and all that, but emotionally you don't have that kind of attachment or feeling. See, this is one of the things. What I see in the burnout coaching is people are wound up all the time. They react subconsciously or outwardly inside emotional reactions. They take a toll on you. Suppose you don't, I think Eleanor Roosevelt, she said, nobody can hurt you without your permission. That's a very, very wise thing. You can be like that. Somebody says something, why do you have to react like that? Let them say so whatever they want. And then if you can let it go easily, if you kind of take it easy, matter of fact and all that, it is much more healthier state. But when people have this egos, people have this pride, whatever they kind of let to believe they are important, and then they react, and then that reaction goes on to the level where they are constantly reacting and also taking home, sleeping on it, and coming home and asking more for it. So that reaction that is not good. You have to respond to that, not to react emotionally, because this is where the psychoneuroimmunology I was talking about, Joyce, that made a lot of sense. Now we can objectively show you too. You can take a PET scan or functional MRI, and we can show you according to your mental status or emotional status what is happening, and then how it is when you are completely silent and all that. That's very impressive. Joe Dispenza, he uses this objective scans to show people how they are with the deep meditation and all that. You can actually see that physically. It's very interesting when you see that.
Yeah. When you said that quote of Eleanor Roosevelt, it made me think of the childhood expression,
Yeah.
sticks and stones can break my bones, but
Yeah.
names will never hurt me.
Exactly, exactly. There's so much wisdom in there. Everybody says that, but when it comes to reaction, they react without them knowing because they built up this observer, we call it, like a self, some smaller self, that ego, that personality. You know by what you built up in your thoughts than what you really are. So that's what happens.
Yeah, it made me think of something that I think more people need to think of, and that is that there's a tendency to judge people
Yeah,
when you don't even really know them.
yeah.
and people jump to conclusions about people and say things and stuff. And most of the time, they hardly know them at all. And even if they knew them really deeply, they still probably don't know them well enough to be judging them.
They're only judging the personality and the thoughts and emotions. Actually, in that being, we are all one. When you remember that interconnectedness, oneness, if you really see that with your own intelligence, then you are landing in that oneness. There are no others to react.
Yeah, and I was actually even looking for a quote. I thought maybe someone has said this really beautifully, and I put this quote in my profile or whatever, but I couldn't really find a good quote. So anyway, my own quote was something about more compassion, less judgment.
Yeah, that happens because even in the you should treat your neighbor like you are him, right? It's the same oneness, interconnectedness. Ramana, for example, he said there are no others. So I kind of use that to help my kid to overcome the Trump was there and he was very getting angry at him. Then I made him realize this, and then what Trump doesn't affect them in a negative way. You can see what is wrong and don't do that. But then why do you get angry, get a reaction, all that spoiling your own health? It's not accepting all the wrong thing. No, right? Yes, indignation, but not in a emotionally attached way. That's when you get into trouble. All reactions are like that. For example, Buddha said that two arrow theory. There is suffering in the world. That is the first arrow comes at us. But second arrow is what I teach. Why do you have to react like that? Understanding all of that will really take you transcend the suffering. So this react, my teaching also in the burnout thing is like respond to things, to the task, but don't react emotionally all the time. So that's what I do all the time. They go to the hospital, immediately somebody will come and say, question something about their treatment, or insurance company questions stay and they want them to discharge, or nurses come and say this medication is not covered, or this patient cannot stay because he's already met his payment. All those things they personally take their attack on them, which is not really. That's where the sympathetic overload builds up in the evening, and by the time they go home, they don't know how to relax, how to get rid of all that. That's why deep breathe, respond versus reaction, and also be in the moment, live in the moment, and wash off all the things from the mind before you go to bed. A very simple formula, but they have a lot of tough time because they are already established in quick reactions in their mind, and they react. They may understand, but actual fact is when they go, they react all the time. And the situation is very bad in the hospitals. They are not conducive to honorable work by the doctors. They are kind of getting a lot of problems that way. All right, I think we talked about 2 hours, Joyce. Today is we spent a lot of time. Anyway, once again, I'm going to do this belly fat challenge starting 21st of this month to 25th in Rocky's house. And then we're going to do the wellness summit from starting August 28th for a week. Hopefully, everybody will come, and then I'll have a lot of questions, and I'll be happy to engage everybody. Yeah.
Okay, have a good evening, and everyone have a good day or evening wherever you are.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a good day then. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.